Hey everybody, I'm Andrew,
And I'm Paul.
and welcome back to the Fanboys. This week we have an episode on PAX Prime. We just each wanted to share like a couple things.
Yeah. There's a
happened.
lot of content, so we didn't want to make this a too bulky episode, but just expound a little bit on a few things, you know?
Yeah. So there was PAX Prime is always really big, and it is mostly a place where people go to kind of play the actual games instead of E3, where it's usually announcements.
More announcements, but at the same time, we got a lot of like really cool reveals and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Or like at least new footage, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of like they're way more liberal with like giving out footage at PAX Prime. So you get to see a lot more of the games.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. So I guess just before we get into like our specific stuff, there were a couple games that people were playing on the show floor that people really liked. Mm-hmm. The first of which was Halo. The line apparently was really long, but went fast, so that's good. Because they had them going, I think, in like really big numbers, like either 24 people at a time in one game or something.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so much fun.
Yeah.
That is how you demo, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think get a whole party really going right away.
Yeah. So it sounded like everybody was having a lot of fun, which is cool.
Nice.
And yeah, I don't know. I just heard really good things about the game so far. Mm-hmm. I hope the story is good, but the gameplay so far seems good.
I don't know. It's interesting to see a new cast of quote unquote main characters.
Yeah.
To expound a little.
And then some of the other ones was Battleborn, which is kind of, I guess, it's not an Overwatch clone, but it's Gearbox's first-person shooter kind
Sandbox
of
MOBA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's exactly like Overwatch. But a lot of people had their hands on it, and Gearbox is, in my opinion, really good at shooter gameplay, so apparently they did a really good job with it, and Battleborn looked and played pretty good, apparently, so just another reason to get a PC, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then the last one that I just wanted to mention was Star Fox Zero.
Okay,
which people said that line was insane, and it was always like 2 hours long.
Oh my goodness.
And, but at the same time, people said it was fantastic.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, a lot of people really liked it.
The one thing I saw, at least that was different from previous E3 stuff, was the new level where you're the copter and the little robot moving around. Mm-hmm. And people had a lot of mixed feelings about that just due to the slower pacing and stuff, you know, which I think with a level like that, there's definitely cause for concern since Star Fox has been such like a mixed bag, and for some reason they've had to work really hard to get back to their regular or their golden style gameplay, you know, in the past.
Yeah.
So I can understand why people were worried about it, but I think that can go either way. I think it just depends on how intricate those robot exploring parts are.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
Yeah, and how interesting it is as far as like a puzzly kind of thing goes, you know?
Right, if it's just a gimmick,
it's
really
like,
old.
Really okay, go left, you did it, now pull the robot out.
Right.
It's like, okay. Oh, and another thing that could be good about it is if the difficulty of stealth for the copter ramps up.
Oh, right.
Yeah, if there ends up being like, I don't know, like spotlights or like more like lasers and stuff like that.
That could be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to see more of the game, but it was really good to hear that a lot of people got their hands on it and they liked it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was definitely really good.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess let's just get into some cool stuff that we liked from PAX Prime. Do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll start with my first one. Well, first off, there was like a huge love for indie games for Nintendo. A bunch of stuff. Coming out.
They spent some time and showed some love for the indie crowd, which is cool. I really liked that. I appreciated that. They need to do that more.
Yeah. So some of the spotlight ones were there was a racing game that looked a lot like F-Zero, and then
Oh yeah.
kind of a co-op-y Metroid one as well, Metroid style one, which is pretty cool, like explore, open up the map kind of thing.
Right.
And then of course the big showstopper was the latest Shovel Knight game coming out.
Yeah.
But the big thing I was really excited about was the Shovel Knight amiibo.
Yeah.
Which in itself is really cool because we're getting this like indie developed character with
third party amiibo, which is very cool.
Yeah, third party amiibo. Still, you get a level of Nintendo's blessing for even making this product. You know.
Yeah.
They released it on their official channel and everything. But even more exciting than that, Game Grumps did the official release commercial for it.
Yep.
Which it says so much things about our current culture, which I'm really happy about. You know, I still say, even though it's been a few years now, that the quote unquote web celebrities is still a fairly new concept. You know, and
yeah, it is.
I think it's very surprising for them to reach these heights. You know, it's kind of a new frontier, and it's just really exciting because for all of us aspiring to like get somewhere or inspire other people through YouTube, simple means really.
Yeah.
We have that chance to make it that far.
Yeah.
It really says something, you know.
It's Nintendo does a really good job with that, because they've done stuff with Mega 64 before, and then in fact, for a number of years they did their E3 presentation was Mega 64.
Oh yeah.
And then they did a Robot Chicken one last
year. Yeah.
They worked with the guys from Robot Chicken, and then this year they did Game. I really like that.
Yeah.
I really like that a lot. I think it's I don't know. That seems really progressive for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, because I don't know. Maybe it's just too much melee, but I always think, oh, Nintendo's a closed off person,
right?
Or whatever.
Yeah.
But like thinking back, it's like that doesn't speak for every portion of their their company, you know. But
yeah, no, it's true. It really doesn't, because yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that they, like a lot of these content creators.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and they're fans of them. So.
Yeah.
Which just seems weird according to their YouTube policy, but that I know that's just two different departments.
Yeah. So. That's very true. Absolutely. So I'm excited to see where the future of these gaming integrations go. Future of YouTube celebrities like Game Grumps, hopefully getting a lot more cameos and stuff for the future.
Yeah,
you know,
I hope so. It'd be really cool.
So do you want to talk about one of your first ones?
So I'll talk about Hob first, I guess.
Okay.
So Hob just kind of caught my eye because I just saw the teaser trailer for it, and I was like, wow, that's a really interesting aesthetic, and that was the first thing that grabbed me. It's from Runic Games, who did Torchlight and Torchlight 2, which are pretty popular games, and pretty fun, actually. I played 2, a little bit of 2.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's not like Torchlight 1 and 2. Torchlight 1 and 2 are kind of just multiplayer games, and they're fun, whatever, but this is much more of I guess a story-driven effort, and single-player driven, I should say. Single-player-driven effort from this company, and I don't know, just the aesthetics and what they're doing with it seem really interesting. Basically, Hob is a kind of Metroidvania-ish game. It's 3D animated, though. And, I mean, they talked a little bit, we watched the IGN video, they talked a little bit about, they found a new glove, and the glove could open up different areas. And allow them to beat the boss. So it sounds very Zelda-y. But that's what I really like about it, is that they were like, well, it's much more like Zelda, but the story is not, there's no dialogue. We're
Right.
not sitting here and giving you a cutscene.
Yeah, it's just
It's truly about like exploration.
just figure it out.
Right, and
Yeah.
one of my favorite parts is that you can change the world and how the world looks. It all shifts
Right.
whenever you pick up one of these gloves.
No.
Or maybe when you defeat a boss. I think it might be when you defeat a boss. It kind of you get something that kind of shifts the world
Okay.
around. Previous areas either become inaccessible or they become new because of the shifting,
Okay.
and new areas open up.
That's really interesting and kind of progressive, I'd say, because would you say there were a lot of Metroidvania style games like that in a 3D environment?
Zelda is basically the only one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I'm sure there are other Zelda type games, but big ones.
that's true.
I would
That's
say
true,
is Zelda really.
But unlike Zelda and even like Castlevania or Metroid, the environment is so much more open and expansive, which is something very cool to see. Because like it's hard to describe the feeling you get from this. Because it's another thing where there's no NPCs. There's this kind of feeling of loneliness, but it's a much more peaceful rather than intimidating feeling.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And I don't know. The aesthetic really struck me, and like the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Of not only just the trailer, but the little bit of gameplay that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just really struck me as like it really focuses on music, art, and a quiet kind of reserved story.
You know
that you have to go look for.
You know what it actually reminds me a lot of?
What?
Shadow of Colossus and
Yeah,
Last Guardian kind of feeling.
That's a really good point, actually. That
Yeah.
might be why I like it. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, that might be why I was struck by it so much. That's
Yeah.
a really good point.
It's very cool. I enjoy that aesthetic a lot as well.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to Hob.
Yeah.
I think it should be really good.
Yeah,
So.
me too. It
Yeah.
looks pretty sick.
Yeah. Alright, so what do you...
Okay, so my other one that's coming out is very... I've never seen anything like it, and it's really hard to describe. It's called... I believe it's pronounced Sibylle.
Okay.
And it's basically about this girl having a relationship online. But the way it's presented is half of it is actual like cutscenes of a girl just like taping herself on a cell phone kind of thing.
Right, and these are like live action scenes.
Yeah, it's just
an
a girl.
actor.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And the rest of it is like online RPG computer game that she created for the rest of it. And as far as I can tell, when you unlock new things or defeat a bad guy, you keep hearing different messages from the person you're communicating with, kind of thing. And so as they say, it's from start to finish, it's going to be how these people meet all the way to the first time they have sex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which raises a lot of questions of what exactly they'll do and how they'll present that.
That sounds really interesting, actually.
Yeah. And it's intimidating, too, because apparently the girl in the cutscenes is the creator.
Oh, really? Okay.
Nina Freeman, and I believe some actual like personal information will be divulged through the game, which I guess she's done before in another game she created called Freshman Year.
Okay.
And so along with the computer game itself, you can wander through the desktop and look through like notes or photos or something like that. And I'm not sure exactly how much of that is going to be real stuff, but just the idea of that is something new, but honestly, it does make me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and I guess if you didn't know that it was... Yeah, it's kind of interesting. If you didn't know it was her, like, real life.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that you would be uncomfortable with. Like, you might be okay with it, because you're like, whatever.
Right,
It's
right.
just an actor. But yeah, it's kind of interesting.
If they're like real pictures and stuff,
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe no, it is. It's definitely the right time for a game like this, where so much personal information is getting willingly divulged by every Joe Schmo out there, kind of thing.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. And maybe I'm a little more old school, but that kind of stuff still puts me on edge when I think about it.
yeah, like just divulging your whole life, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to all the people out there. But
yeah,
I guess when you really think about it, a lot of people I think would be willing to do that.
yeah. I think you're right, and I mean it's not like that's anything particularly new in art. I think a lot of people do that in art, where they kind of use their real life experiences and then go so far as to like include real life information.
Right.
But this is interesting because
This is just
it's
blunt.
yeah,
Here it is kind of
right,
thing.
exactly,
It's,
yeah,
It's exactly what it means to be. It's
Mhm.
not like metaphorical or
Right.
like
Yeah.
seeing. Oh, this was an inspiration of a moment or life experience from the director kind of
Right.
thing. This
Right.
this is the life, and I don't know. I don't know where this is gonna go. Like I feel like I don't know. Some people might be kind of against it, but others might just really.
Yeah.
It could be the complete reversal, and people just suddenly like really bond with this game creator kind of thing,
Right,
just
yeah.
because of like everything she's shown and all that.
Yeah. I think that indie games is a perfect place to do this. Like,
Yeah.
because indie games can be like super out there.
Right. Right.
And
if it's a AAA
super,
game,
like,
you couldn't do something
no,
like this.
no.
Yeah.
Um,
It's the place of experimentation.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And actually, I mean, PAX Prime has been amazing for that. If you think about it, like, Hob isn't particularly an indie game, but this one, and actually, there's another one that's called That Dragon Cancer, I think.
Whoa, what is that about?
And it's I'm pretty sure it's basically the creator of the game is telling a story of his son getting cancer.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and the art style and everything looks like really, really well done. Because it's all kind of polygon-ish, sort of in a way. So it looks very video game.
Yeah.
But it's apparently really affecting, obviously, and really emotional. So that's I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of those from PAX. PAX especially.
Yeah.
For indie games,
right.
Stuff like this and that come out from PAX that just you don't see anywhere else.
Yeah. Oh, that's that's very cool. I'll have to take a look at that. What was it called?
I think it's called That Dragon Cancer. Let me see.
That Dragon Cancer. Put that on your list, people.
Yeah.
That sounds really interesting.
Go check it out, because from what I saw, it was really interesting. And I'd be interested to play it.
Yeah.
That's another indie game that I was like, huh.
Is that new or?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think people got their hands on it for the first time at PAX, so.
To take a look at that.
Yeah.
Now, quickly going back to Sibley, there's another thing I'm kind of thinking / worried about is how well the game actually plays as far as its playability.
How the gameplay is.
Because this is definitely a really interesting concept, but I think even these games, you think of stuff like Journey and Flower, it's minimal but still interactive.
Right.
Through this thing.
Yeah.
And I think it still needs a unique or good interactive touch to it. I don't think the RPG element should be too generic or overly simple, because otherwise I think it'd be debatable. It's like, oh, this should have just been a film kind of thing, Yeah. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I can definitely see that as an issue. A lot of indie creators try to do that. I really like Journey. To take your example, I really like Journey because it's minimal in every way, including gameplay. But it's still like there are very, very intense moments in Journey.
Okay.
Kind of almost scary moments.
Really?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of moments where you're trying to run away from an enemy that kills you instantly if it sees you.
Oh my goodness.
And there are a couple more that are very specific. Like you have to be floating very specifically between these areas. So there are a lot of but everything's very minimal and it works.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right. I think if it's something like this where it's like, all right, now you get in the game, now you just click over and over and over again or whatever, right? Like just to take an example, like it's a Flash game, right? And a crappy Flash game, but the story around it's kind of cool. I would be like, all right, I kind of get it, but it's almost like you could have done away with that and just told the story.
Exactly.
In a visual medium.
Medium.
In another visual medium. Like, So I know what you mean. And that's actually a lot of people's argument for stuff like, there are some very big games in the last couple of years, like Dear Esther or Gone Home, that are very, you just walk around and see stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I like those games to a certain extent, but it is sometimes very difficult to be like, yeah, that was fun gameplay. It's usually not.
Right.
But it's a cool experience nonetheless. Sometimes. Sometimes not.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Or even stuff like Walking Dead. Like, yeah, there's gameplay in it, but...
That's true.
Sometimes I'm like...
That's definitely
arguable, Sometimes I'm like, this would almost be better if it was just, like, an animated web series.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes, some of the gameplay, I'm just like, I don't care about this. Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, or even if Telltale created even its own, like, kind of cheap console of the 4 options button kind of thing.
Seriously.
And
like,
have it be a new meta or something like that, Yeah, definitely. Because gaming is an art. There's no doubt about it. But playability is part of that art.
Yeah.
Hands down. You can't argue that, and it's just as essential as stories and stuff, you know? To my opinion. Like having like fun or entertaining gameplay isn't like a sign of shallowness or anything. If they get really creative with it, it's just as compelling as like stories and stuff,
Yeah.
So to Civilay and other more unique concepts out there for games, just keep that in mind, that playability is still important.
Yeah, gameplay is incredibly important because gameplay is the unique, like, it's the identifier for video games.
Yeah,
because no other medium has that.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, it's what separates it from film.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
is the gameplay.
Yeah.
So it's important to keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah, still interesting concept.
Yeah, no, still definitely interesting concept. Though.
Looking forward to it.
Alright, so the last one on my list, speaking of gameplay, actually, is Hyper Light Drifter. And Hyper Light Drifter, it looks amazing.
It looks so beautiful, oh my gosh.
So, Hyper Light Drifter was, I guess, a Kickstarter game. I don't know from when, but it was a while ago. So people have been waiting for a long time.
Nice.
For this game. But I think it was about a month ago, a friend of mine showed it to me. I was like, that looks cool. And then I saw an actual gameplay walkthrough from PAX Prime, and it blew my mind. I was like, "Oh my god, I need this game!"
Yeah.
Everything about this game, screams me. If you want to know the truth,
okay.
It's sci-fi. It's dystopian. It's a pixel art style, but it's not a cutesy pixel art style. It's a very serious pixel art style.
Yeah.
Which sharp edges and really, like you were saying, almost good saturation of colors.
Yeah.
There's a lot of... It's really colorful. There's a lot going on.
A lot of blending, a lot of gradients
Right, but
and stuff like that.
It's such good pixel art. It really is.
Yeah. What it really actually reminds me of is basically the golden age of Super Nintendo reaching near the lifespan of, games like Super Metroid and Final Fantasy 3/6 kind of thing, where they really started to get a hold of how their how the design chip or
Right.
what you call it really works, and they were at the peak of the design with that kind of thing.
No, I think you're right. I think that's exactly what this reminded me of.
Yeah.
Immediately is those later games.
Yeah.
In that life before the pixel art style went
The
away
prime
completely.
2D art.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean this in motion, like in gameplay, looks amazing.
Yeah.
And the gameplay looks really good. The gameplay is basic, kind of 3D isometric gameplay. If you guys have ever played something like Bastion or Transistor, it looks exactly like that.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I mean he's got a samurai sword, a gun, and he can teleport.
Oh
and
my gosh!
I mean, it just looks awesome. The enemies look really cool, and like I don't know, there's a lot going on in the environments too.
Right.
Where you don't really know, like, oh, this enemy is weird, and like, where did it come from? And then you're looking around, and it kind of fits that environment. Like you can kind of tell.
Nice.
He's in kind of like wooded ruins, sort of, and there's kind of more of a beast, like a creature. And then he's in more of like halls of kind of, it looks like sort of a spaceship, and there are robots. So the environments just look really, really cool.
Yeah.
And the aesthetic and the atmosphere, just really got me excited for the game.
Yeah.
And then to top that all off, it has really good music from what we've heard so far.
Yeah.
Like really good music.
Gorgeous.
Again,
like pushing the 8-bit limits, you know.
Right, like it still sounds like, it's an 8-bit remix of something. But then it doesn't. Then it sounds very like, wow, this is really unique and really good. So, I don't know, I don't know, I saw the trailer, I was already really excited, and then I saw the gameplay, I was even more excited.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that we're going to have to wait so long, but that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people really overlook a few things, especially with going back to the pixel art genre. Is just like, I think there's so much untapped potential and things we haven't seen as compared to a lot of modern games now. It's like, okay, let's get as real as possible kind of thing.
Right.
There's much more creative and kind of like steps to mark yourself as an artist a lot more, I believe, you know. And again, this is a great example to just see the overall potential of it with both design and especially music. Again, I think back to Final Fantasy III. They got a freaking opera going on with 8-bit sounds.
Yeah.
It sounded good.
Yeah.
It was so fantastic. And of course the Kefka laugh.
It's amazing.
It haunts you. But yeah, that's why I'm also really excited for this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it just overall looks like the perfect game, the kind of game that I would really like.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to play it.
Now that you mentioned the weaponry, like both guns and swords, as well as teleporting, I think a key pillar for this game to make or break in success will be movement.
Yeah,
like how well it moves around.
I would 100% agree, specifically because in a lot of the gameplay and in some of the trailers too, you can see that there's platforming elements.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to platform correctly.
Yeah.
Especially in an isometric view, that can be difficult.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad, like, it doesn't look like there's a jump. And that's actually good.
Yeah.
Because in an isometric view, that's difficult.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like you teleport everywhere.
Right.
And that makes a lot more sense to me.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I would 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
If I get it hands-on and I'm like, all right, it feels good in a controller, you know, everything is moving well, he responds quicker, or he responds quickly.
Mm-hmm. There isn't lag after, like, a pivot or a hit kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll be really important.
Yeah.
Because I think this game looks difficult. It looks challenging.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to have full control. You need to be able to, like, for instance, cancel a sword hit.
Yeah.
You know, the lag on a sword hit with a teleport. Stuff like that. That seems kind of obvious now. Like, people have gotten to the point where it's like, okay, in this sort of game, this is what you want to be able to do.
Right, exactly.
Because that was definitely a big thing in Bastion is, you know, you can kind of cancel the lag on some of your big hits by rolling out of them if you need to.
Nice.
Kind of escape bad situations, and that's really, really useful, and it's almost needed.
Yeah.
In some of the later levels, so, but it looks like it. That kind of looks like what they're doing with Hyperlight Drifter.
Good.
And it looks like they know what they're doing. I think.
Yeah.
They really do.
That teleporting thing for platforming would be really interesting because I can't recall someone doing that for platforming or like I think back to other games where there is jumping, etc.
Mm-hmm.
If there isn't a jump button, it's an auto jump kind of thing.
Right.
But I've never seen a teleport before.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
That would be that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Yeah.
I think that looks really interesting.
I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So yeah, Hyperlight Drifter is like top of my list next year.
I'm looking forward to that. Oh, yeah. so many good games. So many good games.
Yeah, there really are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was a very small look at PAX Prime.
Yeah, these are just some of the things that caught our eye most.
Right.
But...
So if you guys have stuff you want to tell us, like, hey, you missed this game, it looks cool, tell us.
Yeah. Give us a shout out to what you're excited to do.
Yeah, because I always love to hear about, especially indie games and things like this.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you guys haven't heard of this? Check this out. I love hearing about that stuff. Because PAX is usually a goldmine for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, let us know what you guys find, and what you think of our picks, and some of our games. So yeah, you can find us at facebook.com/thefanvoicepodcast,
youtube.com/thefanvoicepodcast,
Twitter @fanvoicepodcast,
google.com/+thefanvoicepodcast,
our email fan@thefanvoice.com.
And our website, thefanvoice.com, where you can find news, reviews, articles, podcast downloads, and many, many wonderful things for your reading and viewing enjoyment.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we will see you guys next time.
All right, see you later.